From Newsweek, Supreme Court v. Gay Marriage. Jim Obergefell's warning as precedent is tested. This is big news. It actually initially broke a couple weeks ago. The Supreme Court has scheduled a private conference Friday to decide whether to hear a challenge brought by former Kentucky County Clerk Kim Davis, which urges the Supreme Court to overturn Obergefell v. Hodges. Matthew Staver, attorney for Davis, told Newsweek last month that Obergefell has no basis in the Constitution, saying the decade-old decision could be overruled without affecting any other cases. Although many legal analysts believe same-sex marriage rights are unlikely to be overturned, even by the conservative-leaning Supreme Court, Obergefell told Newsweek in a Wednesday interview that he remains concerned. He pointed to the justice's 2022 decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, which had guaranteed abortion access across the country for nearly 50 years. Quote, "This court, to me, is far from normal, and that's what concerns me. We now have a Supreme Court that has shown it is willing to turn its back on precedent, which has always been a bedrock principle for the Supreme Court," he said. Now, that is an ignorant statement because there are many circumstances in which the Supreme Court has overturned precedent. Perhaps this man would like to go back in time far enough to where the Supreme Court agreed with segregation. I don't think he would. Or how about slavery? Right. The Supreme Court changes its views on long-standing precedent all the time based on our current interpretations of the Constitution. I actually think there's a very, very strong probability gay marriage is overturned. But what say you guys?
I think using Roe versus Wade as some kind of metric to say that this is possibly to be overturned is a very bad mistake, because even Ruth Bader Ginsburg was clear about the fact that the Roe decision was a bad decision. Like, they were looking for a result with Roe. They weren't actually deciding based on any kind of legal precedent or any kind of legal reasoning beyond, we are looking for this result, so this is what we're going to find. And when even, Ruth Bader Ginsburg is the one that's making that statement, that's saying this was actually a bad decision, you can't say that, oh, well, this indicates that they're going to overturn other things in the future. Now, I'm not sure the particulars on Obergefell as to why it was decided the way it was, so I can't speak to as to if the decision is on firmer ground. But to use
let me break it down for you. We've got anyone.io. We all know the importance of protecting our freedoms, and this extends to protecting our data online. We're getting spied on more than ever, and we all have a responsibility to protect ourselves. That's why you should check out anyone.io. Anyone is building the complete privacy solution. Check this out. Where nobody can track your activity at any level, your browsing history, your purchases, your private conversations. It's a decentralized network that is more secure than any VPN. Wow. Take a look at this thing. Seems pretty simple to use, mind you. This is the Anyone hardware device. It's a physical plug-and-play device that connects directly to your router and creates a private Wi-Fi network inside your home. Every device you connect to is protected. No monthly fees, no subscriptions, no nonsense. Why pay for various VPN apps on every device when one box does it all? The device also lets you join thousands of others around the world who supply their internet to the network and earn passive income every day. You can also use the Anyone browser on your mobile phone for complete freedom when using the internet on the go. This is the digital freedom we're all fighting for. Stay private, stay protected, stay free. Visit anyone.io today to get started and use promo code TIM to get 40% off for a limited time. Basically, Obergefell is the one that forces states to recognize gay marriages.
Yeah.
So in states that have legal gay marriage, if you get married there and go to a state that doesn't, they have to recognize that marriage under Obergefell. So if this is overturned, it basically just means that states will have to do it on their own, which is why I believe it is very likely it gets overturned.
Was it based on licensing?
Yes.
Okay.
We had this whole debate, remember? We were talking about licensing.
Yeah. Whether or not, because of the Second Amendment stuff.
So then my question is, so if it gets overturned, then are the states that before the rulings that were pro-gay marriage and had gay marriage legalized, then are they all starting out that way again, or do they all have to then reapply, institute policies that legalize it, or do then states, are they forced to then criminalize it if they deem to do so? Which I seem to be that seems like a really hard thing to do.
Is criminalizing the same as not recognizing? I take your point,
make
though.
it.
I don't know. I honestly have. I mean, this is the first I'm hearing of this, but I also agree. I think that making a comparison between Roe v. Wade and this is drastically. I mean, they're so different for myriad reasons, but I think the biggest is that I think that conservatives who would be most concerned with any of these things, right? I think conservatives have, by and large, come to a place where they're accepting of gays and gay marriage on a level that it was still not something that they wanted to just eat when it came to abortion. Abortion is a much more polarizing concept. That is literally, you have one side that says my body, my choice, and the other that says this is murder, right? And then you also had states that, or have states still, that are practicing late-term abortion, and that is a very concerning thing for a lot of people that are conservatives, and possibly even some people that are not conservative. But I think with gay marriage, I'd like to believe that, you know, we've enlightened as a society to the point where we can see that it's not harming anybody. It's like
I'm
that.
not one of those enlightened people. I'll be honest with you. I wanted to mention, since you were remarking earlier on how divisive this decision would be, I think these justices are, in this current climate, genuinely in danger if they were to make a majority decision to overturn. I mean, their lives literally would be in danger. Given what we have seen from these LGBTQ plus ideologues, their rhetoric online and in person, I genuinely think they would be too afraid to even make this decision. Just in a totally self-interested way, I think their lives would be on the line.
Well, let me. I agree with you, and
I'm not even trying to speak that into existence. It's just that's the way it is now.
I think it's true already, and I think it'll get worse. But you made the point. I guess your point was there's no harm in having gay marriage. I don't want to paraphrase.
I guess what I'm saying is that it's very clear to see the damage done by abortion, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're a conservative, and again, even people that aren't conservative, but I mean, you can look at that. You can look at literally millions of lives that are terminated in the womb, and at various points along that life developing within the mother. And I think that I've always found it to be a pretty logical argument that, like, yes, listen, at some point, that goes from not just your body, your choice. There's another body inside your body.
But
when it comes to gay marriage, we've now had that. It's been in states even before it was federal, and we've seen that it's not going and cascading, I believe, into affecting other people's lives in a detrimental way. It is allowing these people to have their life, to go live their life, and I think that it would be detrimental. I do. I think it would be detrimental to go back on that now.
So I'm curious, Mary, you didn't agree with that, and I'm curious your thoughts.
I think it's an encroachment on the church, honestly. When previously, of course, marriage was understood to be a religious sacrament. I don't think of it as a civil right. And gay people were perfectly free to live however they wanted to. They were free to, cohabit, to have, what was the name of the in-between? It was like something like
Roommates?
common law marriage, but it was given a different name. There are a lot of people who argue for that. Civil unions, like things like that. But I think that demanding marriage in particular, to participate in that social institution in particular, I believe that is.
But why should the government be involved in anybody's marriage?
Because it's a public act that
because of
involves
taxes.
the rest of society.
Well, but this is my point, though. I mean,
because
shouldn't
it
you be
involves
able
the
to say
rearing of
this
children
person,
oftentimes? I mean, it really even goes without saying the fact that this has cascaded into damaging effects on society. The slippery slope has already been observed in the last 10 years very quickly. So the slope is slippery. It's not a fallacy.
I can give you one tangible, real example. I'm very much with you on the two people, privacy of their own home and all that stuff. I've always kind of been there. But something happened. There is no anchor. There's no point at which we say, this is where we stay as a society. These are the rules we have set. So we covered this video from back in like 2010 of Jack Black and a bunch of Hollywood celebrities, SNL cast members, doing a musical for Proposition 8 in California about gay marriage. And in it, the conservatives in the video say they'll teach kids about sodomy. And then all of the liberals run to vote against it. And they go, wait a minute, that was a lie. And the conservatives respond by saying, but it worked, so we don't care. Except, literally now where we are is, the argument for why children should be taught sodomy in the classroom, and we've debated these people on this show, is that so long as gay marriage exists, children should be taught about it. So now what happens is, the tangible real example was, we had someone come on the show and say, there's a teacher in Florida who's gay, and he has a picture of his husband on his desk. And the student says, who's that? What should the teacher do? And I said, respond with, it's private family business and it's not for children. And they respond with, that's not fair because kids know that Mrs. Smith married Mr. Smith, and now you're discriminating against gay people by saying they can't learn about gay marriage. And when it comes to sex ed, this is how gay married people engage in it. They started then putting books in schools directly. You know what? Earmuffs for your kids, because we've covered this before, but here we go. One of the books that was in the school curriculum in Chicago, Florida, a bunch of states actually, taught children about scatological, scat.
Yeah.
About teaching them how to eat feces. And the argument was these are all part of the LGBTQIA sexual experience, and sex ed must teach it. So the argument now is, if gay marriage is a legal function of society, you cannot discriminate against gay couples' sexual practices in sex ed.
And I would argue that you can still allow people to protect that. You can still protect gay marriage and also have the conversation. We shouldn't have any of that garbage in any schools, whether, by the way, it's sodomy or otherwise. I don't know why we're not putting it on the parents to have conversations about sex at home. Why do we need to be telling kids about all that stuff in school?
You
Take all of it out of school.
Both ways. It was always a play for more territory.
But I think that's reaching. I think that there are people perhaps in the the higher up levels of the LGBTQIA or whatever it is that might have the activists, whatever, that have agenda. There are plenty of normal, wonderful gay and lesbians who just want to live normal lives and just want to be able to have that ability and have the ability to marry their loved one and live out their life together and be able to have the rights in the hospital and have the rights when it comes to taxes and have all of those things.
And I agree with all that, but there is no, so when I was, 15 years ago, when all of my friends were like, exactly the point you made, we all agreed with, we were like, that should be the standard. Obviously, it's the privacy of your own home. We're not talking about this stuff in schools. We're saying they deserve the rights. They should be able to see their loved ones in the hospital. This is the basis of Obergefell v. Hodges was recognition of his marriage after his partner died. However, there is no world where you have this easily compartmentalized social structure, meaning it's all gradients. It all bleeds together.
I understand.
When you have teachers, doctors, people walking down the street holding hands, TV shows, the cultural elements of that expand outward. And it ends up with a scenario where we're now debating why LGBTQ activists demand sodomy, scat, and other weird things. I'll refrain from saying the more graphic stuff that we've seen in these books in schools. Why are we fighting here? Why did the battlefield become don't teach kids about sodomy? It's because it's 1 degree away from a gay married couple are teachers in the school, and this is part of their life, and the kids should learn it.
Are there books like those in schools, in elementary schools, that are teaching kids about just regular heterosexual sex? No. I'm not talking about sex ed when you get to high school.
No, the answer is yes.
Why are those in school?
So school curriculums have, this is the argument from the LGBTQ. There are numerous books that are young adult that include sexual content and discussions about safe sex or otherwise that vary from sex ed into young adult romance and interest. The argument is, so long as a child either gets a book that discusses heterosexual sex or can find it in the library, the alternate must be available under the Civil Rights Act.
And what I would say is take all of it out. Forget about the gradients. Let these people get married. Let these people get married, and let's go and protect the children and say, you don't need to know anything about this stuff.
So Hunger Games, for instance, right? There's nothing, I don't think there's graphic sex stuff in there, but there's the lighter young adult romance. Then you move forward into other books, which are not graphic sex, but do include discussions of adult relationships. Take all those books out of schools, out of the curriculum. Don't read about them.
Anything that's graphic.
And
it's not that hard.
If it's graphic,
it's not that hard to delineate between what is. Again, if you're talking about something that's a romantic relationship that is portrayed in a fictional book like Hunger Games or something like that, that is very different than a picture book of this is how you sodomize.
Right. Just what they've been doing.
Right, which is wrong. Which is wrong.
There's one thing I want to say about you said it's not that hard. And I understand the point that you're making, but the people that desire to have this information in schools, the people that are LGBT activists, it doesn't matter what's hard. The point is they're going to push for it because they want to have that effect, and they want kids to have this information because they believe that it will help kids that are gay open up about their gayness. They believe that when it comes to trans kids, which I don't believe exists, but when it comes to, they want to have information about trans in school so that way there will be kids that will say, oh, I am trans. It is an ideological motivation. So I understand your point and I do agree, but I think that the problem is there won't be just we can leave it be.
It's not that it's actually, it will be hard. That's the issue, is that activists at the school level, the people who are pushing for this stuff to be there, they are going to use guilt by association. They're going to tell you that you're a bigot if you don't allow this stuff to be in schools. Those are very powerful motivators for people who may not be politically inclined to suddenly being called names by people who have a lot of cachet in the community, because those communities command a lot of respect and attention from the people there. Back in the day when they would talk about sex ed, a lot of the issue was like they didn't want sex ed in school at all. And the argument was, we need to teach them about sex ed because kids are going to come home with, HIV and diseases.
So I'll just say I agree with you on all of these things. The question becomes, why is this now the battleground? Where it used to be that we didn't have to fight over the issue of why are they giving these books to kids? The argument is society, culture, it's a gradient. Once gay marriage became legal, you now had a bunch of openly gay teachers, male and female, with openly talking openly about their gay relationships. Then when the issue of sex ed came up, they then said, okay, kids, here's how we do sex ed. So again, I understand, I agree with you, take it all out, but the argument over the ramifications of gay marriage as a legal structure of government is, society will now have to re-debate where we stand after we create a massive new component, a new infrastructure of society.
Certainly, but we always have to debate. We always have to come back to the table. We always have to be asking ourselves, and this is part of the problem, even with abortion. There are so many people on both sides that are unwilling to just come to the table and get like, can we just get 24 of the most intelligent, wisest, deeply spiritual people of different backgrounds, including scientists and doctors and everybody else, and let's sit down in a room for as long as it takes and just really try to hash out, when does life actually begin? Well, but we don't do that kind of stuff.
Well, hold on.
Because it's easier to just sit and throw rocks at each other.
Wait, I disagree.
But wait, just really quick. Let me just throw this last bit in. We right now, and I'm sure you guys have seen this, there's been a massive backlash within the LGBTQIA plus community where the LGB wants to cleave off of the rest of it because they are recognizing the madness. They are seeing that they're being hijacked. And I fear that something like this would be very detrimental to allowing them to finally be done with all of that and all of that crazy activism that is exactly what we're all concerned about.
Are you worried that it would radicalize them?
I would worry that they not radicalize them.
But it would radicalize them to then join with this side that they want to be separate from.
No, I think that we need to. What I worry about is that they have finally been seen and acknowledged in a way that they were hoping to. And they were, and most of them in the LGB were very happy with that. Not you guys are the activists, or these loud voices, are a minority within these groups.
So I want to bring you to. I don't know if you've seen this graphic before.
Yes,
it's gone massively viral. The blue section is what we would describe as pro-choice, and the red is pro-life. On the right, I have debated and had conversations with many different people about exactly what you described. Sitting down, talking about how you deal with the issue of abortion, when and how and why, should the rules be. On the left, they called me pro-life. I'm pro-choice. I'm traditional Democrat pro-choice. And we bring on this guy, this progressive guy, and Seamus Coughlin, a devout Catholic, which Michael Knowles called a Sunni Wahhabi Catholic, or whatever, he's so extreme, is sitting here being like, I'm going to keep my mouth shut. Seamus's view is it should be banned outright, no matter what, never allowed. My position is there's some nuance there because in the event there is an emergency, a legitimate one, having to get a writ from a judge and sign it from doctors may not be timely. It's very difficult to figure out how to do, and I don't know if I have the answers for it. The progressive told me I was pro-life because of that. So when I'm willing to sit down with Glenn Beck, Seamus Coughlin, James O'Keefe, Charlie Kirk, whoever it may be, and say, here's my view on it. It's a much more libertarian view of how we handle this. And the left just says, we're not interested. Abortion should be up to 9 months. The issue,
which is insane.
So basically, my point on what you were saying is, as it pertains to all of these issues, the right is actually, here's how I describe it. In this graphic, you pull this graphic back up.
This isn't, but that graphic's not specifically about pro-choice.
No. This is just about ideology.
It's open-mindedness, yeah, exactly.
But what I'm saying is, the left side of the red sphere is the left as it's always been. And the right side is the right as it's always been. And the reason why the right cluster is dark red, and then as you move left, it breaks apart and then shifts dramatically left, is that old school Democrats are in this grayed out red portion where they do have the conversations, they do sit down and try and negotiate, but the wingnuts of the dominant left alignment in this country don't care for nuance. Their attitude is abortion up to 9 months if the woman wants it. End of story.
And what I would say is that there are a lot of people within the LGB who are not all the way over in that blue.
Absolutely. Scott Pressler. He's a conservative.
And more. And more. There were so many gays and lesbians that came out for Trump in the last election, in large part because Trump said, I'm not coming for your marriage. I don't have any intention to do that. I want to leave you with your rights. And I think that he should stand by that. And I think the court should respect that.
I do think it'll get weird if they overturn Obergefell,
they're not going to. And this is why I mentioned earlier,
I think they
the
will.
Justices, I mean this, like their lives would be threatened.
So you're saying they're cowards?
Seriously, credibly, and they might even have their lives taken if they make this decision.
So you're saying they're cowardly?
Convinced. I don't know if it makes them cowardly or just self-interested the way we all would be.
Hold on.
If they make this decision, which I don't predict that they will, I do believe that their lives would be in danger
I understand.
from the activists.
I just want to just to clarify. Are you saying that the conservative justices do think it should be overturned but won't out of fear of harm?
I can't speak to what's in their conscience, but if they feel privately that this decision ought to be overturned, I think that it is possible that they would choose against that because they don't want to be killed.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.